Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Conversational Witchcraft with me, Dawn the Kitchen Witch. Okay, so before we get going, obviously, here is the moment where I tell you to subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you hit all the buttons, you follow, like, subscribe. And if you love what we're doing here on Conversational Witchcraft, please support us. Click the support us link and help us keep bringing you great information, inspiration, and conversations about all forms of witchcraft, magic, and just really cool conversations with really amazing people. Don't forget, you can learn more about me and food magic and the power of kitchen witchcraft by visiting me directly at cucinaaurora.com and following me at Cucina Aurora Kitchen Witchery on all social media. Okay, enough about that. Enough with the housekeeping. Let's get into it today because this is very, very exciting. A guest that I've wanted to interview for a while. This is Pam Chen. Pam is a magical business and manifestation coach. She is co-founder of the Academy with her business partner, Alexandra Hanly. They train the next generation of spiritual leaders, teachers, and coaches to become multi-six-figure earners in a heart-centered way and to become powerful, energetic masters and healers so that they can empower humanity, help raise the consciousness of our planet, and to activate a new timeline for a new Earth. Thank goodness. Pam is also an author and deck creator for Llewellyn Worldwide, US Games, and Hay House. And when she's not teaching or typing, she loves to cuddle with her chickens, watch Asian drama, and eat spicy Cheeto puffs with avocado. So, what you're saying, Pam, is that we're just going to get along really well.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi Don.
I'm really excited to have you here for multiple reasons. But you do so much of what I love, which is where the witchcraft world meets like the self-help coaching and money magic world, which is such a juicy, yummy space to be in. And I don't think that that's something that we as witches talk about enough.
Mm.
Right. So,
Yeah.
first and foremost, let's get to know you. How in the world did you find your path to witchcraft?
Wow. Okay. So first, thank you for having me on,
Of
and I'm so
course.
excited to be here also. And I first found my path, I would say, so I moved out at a very young age, around 16, and I was trying to pay my bills and go to school, and
Yeah.
it was pretty hard. At that time, this is like early 2000, I couldn't even buy toilet paper. It was hard. And so I don't know how I got the money then, but I did go see a lot of psychics. So I went to see a lot of psychics because I didn't know where I was going. There was a lot of confusion,
Mm.
and I'm from Hawaii. So they're pretty spiritual there, pretty
Yeah.
open. And one psychic, she taught us, me and my friend, some money magic. She was like our
Mhm.
first mentor, and we did this money spell. And literally the week after, I got exactly what I wanted, which is like 1,000. It was like 1,000. It was like that was big money for me. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. And it was like $1,000 to fix something that was broken. And I was like, this is amazing. I
Yeah.
believe. But I always kind of believed, in astrology. When I was growing up, my mom's family is Buddhist. So Buddhist is also very open. They never really forced it on me or anything. So I was really open until I found, the path of magic. And I was like, this is so cool. It can help me in my life. And all I have to do is maybe write some stuff out and let it handle. And so
Yeah.
I started studying with her. She taught me how to astral travel, a few things, not a lot. And then life did get better. I got better jobs. I then moved to Las Vegas, but I kind of lost the magic because life took over. So I didn't do anything. And I moved to Vegas. And one day I just had this feeling to go to this holistic fair. And I went to the holistic fair, and all these ladies were by this crystal bracelet booth, and they were grabbing the bracelets. They were like, this feels so amazing. And I was like, I want to feel. So I went and I grabbed one, and I was like, I don't feel anything.
Oh,
I couldn't even feel energy, nothing. And so then I was walking around, and this one lady pulled me into her booth, and she was really nice, not creepy at all. And she was like, hey, you need to work with me. And so Janet was my first Reiki master teacher and psychic
Wow.
development teacher. And so I learned how to work with energies. And then I remembered magic, right? Because it's a little bit different. You're still working with both, but I do feel like working with magic and witchcraft is a little bit different than just like an energy healer. And so I got back into that. And I remember one of the first books, but this was back in high school, I got was Silver Ravenwolf, one of
Hmm.
her, and she actually wrote the foreword for my new book.
I know.
That
I
was
saw that.
crazy,
I was like,
right?
what? Because Silver Raven, I'm obviously much older than you, but like Silver Raven with Wolf to Ride a Silver Broomstick was literally like, as an 80s and 90s kid, that
Yeah,
was like the foundational book we all found. And we were like, oh my God, witchcraft. Yes.
that was it.
Like
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
We're probably closer than you think. I'm 40. I just look pretty
No,
young.
I
Yeah,
don't
I just
believe you.
yeah, I'm 40 this year. I just look
No.
really young. But
Mm-mm.
that was it. That was it. And so I brought my book actually to Vegas, and it was like I only came with like 3 boxes in a suitcase. And so I took out the book again, and now I had some resources. I could do stuff. I understood stuff because you have to remember back then there was no internet. You couldn't just order the things you need on Amazon, or you
No.
couldn't, if I didn't understand what she was saying, I couldn't Google it.
Right.
There was no
Right. I,
such
I
thing.
try to explain that to younger people. Like, you have to understand, like, it was hard work to
Yeah,
find witchcraft in the 90s, in the
it
80s and
was.
90s. Like, we physically had to leave our homes
Yes,
and
yes.
go places, which we couldn't do. At least, I mean, you moved out when you were very young. I lived at home until I got married. So,
Yeah,
like, like at 18 when I started to drive, then I could leave the house. I could go to the library. But until those times, you're like, you got to do what is available to you. And unless your friend had a book you could borrow, there was no information.
right. Yeah, that was the thing. And so I think that's why it took me so long to actually learn the magic or be on my path because I just didn't know how and I just gave up. And from there, I just invested deeply into more magic and manifestation because when I was 21, I mean, I opened one of the clubs in Vegas, making pretty good money, but, I
Mm-hmm.
was partying a lot, drinking a lot, gambling a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, what is life? Like, like this is good, but I don't think this is what I was meant here to just do. And there
Yeah.
was a lot more. And, I didn't go to college. Vegas is amazing because you can get great jobs not going to college,
Yeah.
but you kind of get stuck in it. And so through, magic manifestation and I did my mindset and everything, then that kind of brought me on the path that I am now. And I was able to manifest even more money, my own business, spiritual coaching online, and publish like all these books and
It's
decks. That was
amazing.
crazy.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. I want to go back to something that you just said, where you said you did that first money spell
Yeah.
and it worked. And then you
Hmm.
did a couple of other things and then life got good. And when life got good, you weren't doing magic because life
Yeah.
was good. You didn't need it. You were like, oh, I'm good. And then life got weird or uncomfortable or shitty or whatever the situation is. And then you turn back to magic. I think this is a really important thing to talk about. And tell me if you disagree, agree or disagree.
Agree.
Like we tend to, and I was just having this conversation with someone else. We tend to give to our craft, to the earth, we make offerings when we need something,
Yeah.
right? But then when things are good, we're like, I'm good, And I grew up in a really Catholic family. And one of the things that used to drive my parents crazy, we're not like on the same wavelength with them anymore. But one of the things that would drive them crazy is we were really religious. We showed up to church all the time.
Right.
We were there all the time. We were participating all the time. And it would drive my parents crazy that there were people that only came for Christmas and Easter. Right. And I think we do see that in the witchcraft world of people that are not living their path, doing their work all the time. And they dip into it when they need something and then they forget all about it. And then they go back to it. And then they get pissed that it's not working for them.
Yeah.
Right. It's a practice. You have to do it all the time. Would you agree?
I 100%, 10 out of 10 agree. That is something that we teach. your energy practice, your magical practice. It's a practice, it's an everyday thing. And it's not when your business, there's no one coming in and then now you do a spell or ritual,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's every day because there's new energies every single day. You have new things coming into your world every single day. And so you have to stay balanced, right? You have to
Yeah.
stay connected because energy is shifting all the time with our planets, with the earth, and it's affecting us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to be in flow, then you have to be aware and be connected. And so I have now I know. I think before I didn't know. So I would do, a new moon spell. Those are
Which
the
is
best
still
spells,
great. It's
which is
still
great, which
great.
is
Yeah.
great. But that was like all I was really doing. It actually it took me having this chronic illness in 2018 actually to really snap me in, and I was like, I need to do everything I can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized and I really dialed in and I was able to heal it within 9 months. Like the doctors wanted me on antibiotics for the rest of my life and I was like, I am not doing that. and
Wow.
and I used magic. I used energy and mindset to manifest out of that, and that was like
Wow.
probably the hardest thing. I'm a pretty positive
Yeah.
person, but that was a pretty hard, that probably was my dark night of the soul moment. But it
Sure.
allowed me to understand that, hey, don't just come back when you need the magic. It's a practice, and show up. And the more that you are cultivating this magic within and without you, the stronger and the better life you'll have.
100%. You said you need to be doing these practices all the time, whatever your practices are, whether it's for
Whatever.
wealth or health or whatever. You need
Yeah.
to be practicing all the time. I always say witchcraft isn't something we do, it's something we are. It's
Yeah.
how we move through the world. It's the awareness of
Hmm.
ourself and the energies around us, and then how we relate to those things. Oftentimes, my opinion is that people forget the self and they're always looking out and going, oh, well, this is this person's fault, or it's the state of the world, or it's this, or it's that. Right. If we are, to your point, all these things around us are changing and everything else is in flow, but so are we, right? We change. I am not the same person I was when I was 40, not the same person I was when I was 35, not the same person I was when I was 30. And the world around me has changed as well. So if I'm not constantly tapping into that, I am also doing myself the disservice of not recognizing my change and
Yes.
guiding that change, right?
Yes. Yes. And I don't think your practice, I mean, you're going to want to, but in the beginning, your practice doesn't have to be like an hour, 2 hour rituals or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't have to be the same things over again. I think a lot of people think they have to be put into a box and it
Mm.
has to be long, whatever they're imagining in their head, but it doesn't have to. I remember when I was manifesting pretty well, but better now because I know some some more things. But when I was manifesting pretty well, I was working 4 jobs
Mm.
and I was trying to build my business and write my first deck. I didn't have a lot of time. So I think I just like stirred my matcha and invoked some magical words, I don't know, affirmation
Mm-hmm.
into it. And
Mm-hmm.
I did a couple other things when I could, and that was pretty much it. But it
Mm-hmm.
allowed me to create space for my devotion now, for my practice.
Mm. Wow. And that is so important, is building your own personal practice, right? To be able to say, I understand that when I teach classes on kitchen witchcraft, I say this all the time to people. I'm like, listen, I am a terrible astrology witch. I have no fucking idea what moon phase it is. Oh, it's in Scorpio. Oh, it's in Libra. I don't fucking know. I am too, I am running a business. I am living my life. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, I do know this moon. I better do something. But there are practices that we can do that keep us grounded and centered in the everyday moment. Like you just said, maybe I'm just stirring my matcha and I'm putting my intention into that. For me, I do a coffee ritual every morning because I will never miss my cup of coffee. So you work it into your daily practice. What kind of advice do you give to people who, like yourself, may find themselves going, I'm just starting my practice. I don't really know what that looks like. I don't have a lot of time. Like, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say, go out. I mean, you have so much ways to search now for something that you resonate with, right?
Hmm.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is,
Hmm.
whoever you find. And like Kitchen Witch, I don't think I can't cook or bake. So I think I would want to learn, but it probably wouldn't be my daily practice, right?
Hmm.
And so you can find someone that you resonate with, that you love what they're doing, you love what maybe their life looks like or their path,
Hmm.
and you can learn from them, right? Get their book,
Right.
listen to the podcasts,
Right.
see what they're doing and the things that you can do. I think make it easy, right? If
Mm.
you start with a lot of things and you try to create a habit, you'll feel overwhelmed. But if you just insert one little thing and habit stack.
Yeah, I
So when
love
I'm
habit
habit
stacking.
stacking, yes, like you have to do the thing anyway, right?
Yes.
And so do it with it or after. So right now, I'm walking, I'm trying to get my steps in. And so I'm walking and I chant while I walk. And
Hmm.
so I'm like chanting for an hour while I'm walking, but I'm
Hmm.
doing it anyway. I got to do it. I
Hmm.
got to watch my chickens. I got to walk. So I
Right.
just throw the chanting in there.
Right.
So do
Right.
what you can and one step at a time. You don't need you don't need to do a whole 3 hour ritual again, like I said.
Right. Like that's great to do a 3 hour ritual when you can and when you have the time. And
Yeah.
one of the things about building those small practices in your everyday life is that you are constantly touching that source energy. You're
Mhm.
constantly connecting with that source energy in little tiny ways so that when you have the opportunity to do a large ritual or something a little bit more in depth, you're familiar with the way that feels because you're touching it all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm on a tangent. I want to know about how you went from, like you said, I was working 4 jobs, I was doing my manifestation magic, I'm trying to get this done. Most people look at a story like that and they go, oh, well, it just happened overnight. They don't look at the work or the time that it takes in between. They think, oh, I'm going to walk and chant and my whole life is going to be better in a week. It's not real life. Like you still have to do the fucking work. Okay. Like
Yeah.
you still have to do the work. Can you talk a little bit about that process and the time frame it took for you to get from I'm working in Vegas, I'm killing myself doing a million jobs that don't make me happy to I wrote my first deck or I wrote my first book?
Yeah, I think you get seeds dropped into your path in your life because I actually created it wasn't a tarot deck. I thought it was a tarot deck, but it was like 23 cards. I don't even remember what it was. And nobody bought it. I didn't even sell it. I don't know what I was thinking a while ago.
Yeah.
And, it actually took me 10 years to build my business. So in the beginning, so I started maybe 2010, and at the time, again, no internet, not a lot of internet-y stuff.
Yes.
And so also magic was not awakened fully then. I believe it is pretty much now,
It's
right? Back
definitely there's
then,
this resurgence in the last couple of years, especially I think because of COVID and people really they're looking
yeah.
inward and they're also looking for a deeper meaning and ways to handle things, I think.
Definitely. And so in 2010, my business coaches were like, you can't talk about being a psychic. You can't talk about magic. No one's gonna buy. It's taboo. And so I was like, okay. So I was like, let's do confidence. I don't know what I did for 10 years. I kept doing something, burning out, doing something, not doing it because it just didn't work. I wasn't
Yeah.
getting clients. I was still
Yeah.
at my job. And so I was like, that's easier. I'll just go back to that instead.
Yeah.
So it took me 10 years until I got a coach and she was like, no, talk about magic. I was like, oh, that permission slip. And I was like, okay. And so I started talking about crystal magic because at that time, my best friend and I were selling crystals on Instagram.
Hmm.
And so that was very easy. That's something I already know. And I was
Hmm.
sharing that. And so I was like going to everybody's groups, talking about crystal magic. And so that kind of just took off and evolved to what it is now, certifying, other practitioners in our modality and business coaching because I took so many business coaching programs because
Hmm.
it just wasn't working for me. But I
Right.
also think that was my path, right?
Mm.
That was my path of now I can teach others what to do in the most aligned way for spiritual entrepreneurs. Because when you are in business, a lot of the marketing stuff and sales stuff doesn't translate to magical people. I mean, it does, but they
No, I
don't
know.
feel good doing it, you know?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
yeah. So,
Agree.
yeah,
Agree. My business is called Cucina Roar Kitchen Witchery, right? And
yeah,
just like you, I started like a side hustle in like 2008. It was full legit I decided I was gonna like push forward in 2010. People look
yeah,
at me and they're like, oh my God, you're so successful. And I'm like, do you have any idea how long and hard this journey has been? But all the people that know better, right? All the old men were like,
right.
you have to drop kitchen witchery off of your logo. You have to drop this little witch. You have to stop talking about energy and food. And I was like, no, but you're second guessing yourself. You're going,
Right.
but well, if I because they said the same thing to me, no one's gonna buy this. No one's gonna because
Right.
witches are scary and it's taboo. And I'm like, I'm talking about cooking with love. Everybody gets that,
Yeah.
like it's so fun to talk to another witchy entrepreneur because there's, like you said, a lot of that, the business modality and the marketing stuff doesn't always translate to people in
No.
the spiritualist community.
Yeah. And what we were just talking about, that daily practice. You
Mhm.
know, a lot of coaches, a lot of successful people already understands energy and mindset and magic. They just say it differently because
Yes.
they're doing it, right?
Yes.
And so and they don't teach us. I feel like, they say stuff and then you kind of know. And, but, when I was on my path, what worked and what not worked, I could tell because I launched, seeing the people coming in or not. And I would
Hmm.
be like, oh, okay, I did this practice. And that worked for
Hmm.
this one really well. And then if I did it again, it would
Hmm.
be good. And so I do think your entrepreneurship is the biggest spiritual path you can go on. There's like ups and downs sometimes every 5 minute of the
Hmm.
day. Let
Hmm.
me so my first deck, Crystal Unicorn Tarot, which I self-published, and the Eight of Pentacles was cut off, so there was only seven, and I freaked out. But
Yeah.
I had some mindset and energy where I was like, no, I'm okay. And, I was like, I'll just send you guys another card or, so
Right.
it was, if anybody noticed. So it was fine because I shipped out 500 decks, but
Right.
nobody freaked out. I was only me freaking out. But if you have the tools, if you have the practice and the magic to support you in whatever circumstances come your way, then it's a lot easier to just like, hey, that was a speed bump instead of like I fell in Grand Canyon all the way down. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you
Yes.
can shift, and that's how people talk about quantum shifting, right? Quantum leaping. So it's not a bit like a huge jump like you were talking about, right? Like everybody thinks we did that, but it was like these little steps that we took, and then one day it became like a big leap that
Hmm.
people saw. And so that was definitely my experience too, just like building up, and everything that I didn't know, I went out and learned. So I didn't know how to
Right.
speak, I didn't know how to write. Hawaii education, we literally played cards in class.
Wow.
We watched surfing video in English junior year, and we did oral book reports. I did it on Harry Potter. So I didn't write anything. And it was actually through business
Wow.
writing, like writing emails, that
Yeah.
I learned how to write, which is really cool. And I have editors. I love my editors.
But that's
So,
amazing. And I would just like to like take a second and like acknowledge the work that you've done,
oh, thank you.
right? Because it is not easy by any stretch of the imagination to do anything entrepreneurial,
Right.
first and foremost. Okay, we are the only people in the world that literally give up 9 to 5 to work 24/7. And half the time we don't get paid. And it's a hard, hard road. It's a hard path to choose. Right. So you have to be all in. So first of all, I think you should be very proud of yourself for that, but
Thank you.
also to say, hey, listen, I grew up in a situation where the education system was not in my favor. I moved out when I was 16 years old, had to pave my own way, taught myself writing, taught myself entrepreneurship, taught myself all the skills that takes. First and foremost, that shows a type of character and spirit
Mm,
and a strength of character and spirit that, aside from witchcraft,
mhm.
is really incredible and you should be very proud of.
Oh, thank
Right?
you.
Like
Thank you.
seriously. And then also it kind of says to everybody else, like, hey, listen, I myself personally, I was a terrible student. I have a lot of learning disabilities. I did not do well in school. I did a lot of failing out of school. I went to college, but I didn't do well. And I did art. I didn't
Right.
do like business stuff, you know, and somehow I said, fuck it. I'm going to teach myself. If I want to do it, I have to teach myself how to do it. So for those people who are listening, here are two people that taught ourselves these skills. It's not
Mhm.
out of reach, is my point. And you should
Yeah.
be really proud of yourself for being able to rise to what you wanted.
Thank you. I feel like we were on the same path, you too. Yeah, and I think that's why I'm really passionate about sharing money and magic with everyone because I do believe that no matter where you came from, no matter your past, and no matter your present moment, you can make the choice now to change your future. And it's going to come faster than you think, right? With like all of these support and
Yeah.
guidance nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's a great place to take a break. Um, because we have a lot of ground to cover with your new book, Wealth Witchery, which is so good. It's so good. So let's take a quick break. Let's hear from our sponsors, and then we're going to come right back with Pam Chen and talk about her new book, Wealth Witchery. We'll be right back. Okay, friends, we are back with Pam Chen. Really excited. I feel like we're just jiving,
We
like
are.
kindred spirits. So, this book is called Wealth Witchery, and the forward, as we said, is by Silver Raven Wolf, which is a huge, like,
Huge.
nerding out. Okay,
I
like
was nerding out myself.
so amazing. It was like dream come true, right? Like,
It was like I just got I don't know, I got the download one day. I was just like, what if Silver wrote my forward? And I was like, and I tried to like search for her contact, but you can't contact her.
no,
Right? Yeah. And I
yeah,
was like, how do I do this? And thankfully, my editor Elysia. She
yeah.
is amazing. And I was like, I have all these ideas. She just listens to me. But I'm like, what if Silver Raven Wolf wrote my forward? Can you contact her? She's like, yeah, she's a Llewellyn author.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, we'll reach out. And so I shared a little bit about my journey, how I started with her and her
Mm-hmm.
book. And yeah, and she's even liking my post. I'm just like, I know, I'm just like, oh,
Amazing. Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. But okay, so this book, obviously, you wrote this book because you have this knowledge and you want to share it with everybody, right? Again, I cannot stress to people enough how important the mindset stuff is when it comes to wealth. And I think that we tapped on this before a little bit, the witchcraft community, the spiritualist community, we have a lot of blocks around
Yeah.
money. People don't like to talk about money.
Yeah.
There is a sentiment of, I shouldn't charge for the work I do because it's spiritual. What's been your experience with that, specifically in that spiritual, energetic community?
Yeah, so I don't think it's anybody's fault that they
No.
believe that they can't charge for their magic, they're gonna lose it, because I think it was brainwashed into us from like movies or society, and
Hmm.
we learned this.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of spiritual entrepreneur clients, and that's like one of the first blocks we release. Because either in this life or even in the past life, right? Because back in the days, if you did any kind, even if you just like herbal tinctures or something, and then
Hmm.
they branded you as a witch, what you get? Something happens to you,
Yeah.
right? You get chased out or something happens to you. And
Yeah.
so it is also a very deep rooted karma and block. And thankfully for me, before I really got into the magic and knowing even all of these, like you can't charge for your gift, I was brainwashed in I was brainwashed in network marketing. So I was almost in like a cult like network marketing thing when I was 18, and they drilled sales into us. It was like sales is
Right.
amazing, entrepreneurship. And so I think I already had such a core, strong belief in that. Like
Hmm.
money is amazing. Money makes you amazing, more amazing, and you get to help other people being of
Hmm.
service. If you want to change the world, you got to have the funds to do so. You have to have the
Yes.
resources, right?
Say it again. If you want to change the world, you have to have the funds to do it.
Yeah, if you want to help other people, you got to have the money to help other people, whether it's time or money. It's
Yeah.
just easier and better if you have it, if you hold it. And so that was really drilled into me
Yeah.
before stepping into this space. And so, I think for me, it wasn't money, making money was not a block for me, sales was not a block for me. And so I do believe that as teachers, as mentors, or coaches, we come into the space with the codes that we hold, with the
Mm.
frequency or magic. And so when our students come, and we also learn from them, but we get to just transmit these codes to them. So it's
Yeah.
not even about like the stuff they're learning sometimes, but when you say yes to a teacher or guru or whoever, then you get some of the codes. You start being their world. And so I think that was a very, very, very strong belief of mine. So I think I am able to hold a really strong container for all of our students.
I think that's so important. And, a lot of us deal with those blocks and the blocks of like, what we learned about money from our families, what we
Yeah.
learned about money from society. I mean, right now we're looking at the world and the billionaires are stomping out people that have less. And so
Crazy.
we associate money with evil in a lot of
Yeah.
cases. And I agree with you 100% that money is an amplifier, right? If like I feel like money is like a super serum, right? Like if you're bad, it makes you worse. If you're good, it makes you better,
Yeah.
right? Because you can
Yeah.
get out into the world and do the things you want to do, and change the world. And again, help take care of yourself. I can't be a good leader, a good entrepreneur, a good witch, a good partner, a good friend if I'm worried all the time about how I'm going to pay my bills, keep a roof over my head, and feed my family, right?
Hmm.
So I think that destigmatization of money is the first step in working money magic. Would you agree?
Yes, I 100% agree. And I think also it allows you to become authentically you because everything is, this is a world we live in, right? It's a truth. Everything is determined by money, your experiences and what you want. And so if you truly desire something, like my hair, right? I couldn't color my hair before, even though I wanted to express myself with colors.
Mm-hmm.
But, now you can because you have the money. Or I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have been able to write the book or create the decks
Mm-hmm.
if I was still like worrying about buying toilet paper,
Right.
or paying the bills. Like, you wouldn't have time if I was working 4 jobs. I literally
Yeah.
wouldn't have time or the money to do so. And so money is just an energy. Money, if you replace the word money with energy,
Mm-hmm.
you don't say energy is evil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, energy
Mm-hmm.
is just energy, and money is just a piece of paper. And so it's how we relate to it and our
Yeah.
perspective and how we're using it.
I had this, and I love that so much. I have this light bulb moment, which was for me on my journey. Because I definitely, when I first started, was like, oh, well, I have to give my friends, I give them stuff for
Yeah,
free. I have to, right. I have to, always, and I have a policy that like every day I try to give something away if I'm working retail
I
or
love
something.
that.
Yeah, it's important to me. And I wait for a moment to hit me and go, oh, I feel moved to do it. So I'm not just like, oh, I feel like I'm not worthy of it. So I'm going to give this away. It's a different energy around it. But a friend
Yes.
had said to me, and I think you're going to love this, Pam. A friend had said to me, you have to charge an appropriate fee.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, 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 fee. Yeah, I got to charge. But he said, no, fee, FEE, a fair energy exchange. You
Hmm.
put this amount of energy into this product, and the energy that you're giving me is this book or this thing that you
Right.
made. And so the energy that you're asking back is money, but it's still an energy exchange. And that for me was a big light bulb moment of going, oh, it's my fee, my fair energy exchange.
I
I'm
love
not
that.
charging, right? I'm not charging more than deserve. And I'm not undervaluing. I'm saying this feels fair. And I feel like as witches, we know when something feels, so I'm like, oh, that's too much, or
Yeah.
that's not enough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's That's so funny that you say that because so as our business academy, we teach spiritual entrepreneurs to create high ticket programs. And so it is charging more for their
Yeah.
worth because think about it. I've spent thousands, hundreds, not maybe not hundreds, tens of thousands on coaching
Mhm.
myself and your own experiences. And now you have to hold this person's energy and their emotions and what they're going through for 3 months. Do you know how much that is? And so whenever these entrepreneurs come in and after they, in the beginning they're like, "Oh, I don't know if I can charge this much." We're like, "Yeah, just charge whatever." And after their first round, they're like, "I'm charging more." Because they see the energy exchange, right? Now they're like, "I gave so much and they got such deep, deep, expansive results that this
Right.
is priceless, you know?"
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that so much. So when you were working with this, and I feel like this book is more of like, and to correct me if I'm wrong, this book feels to me like everything that you tried, experimented with, and worked with, and now you're teaching everybody what you did, right?
Yes.
Not I researched because I wanted to write this book, which is
Yes.
different. Right. This was no, this is my fucking life. And this is how I did the thing. So, what I want to know is when did you have that kind of breakthrough moment where you were like, I really need to share this in physical form? Like, was there a moment for you where you said, I need to write this shit down?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go back to my timeline really fast.
Yeah.
So I did have a previous business partner where everything kind of took off in 2018. Like it
Yeah.
just popped, right? Business popped, everything was
Yeah.
great. And then 2020, I was kind of forced to go deeper in my business because I couldn't go back to my job, right? We
Right.
got laid off. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be serious. So then I went all in on the business, and that's when I made more money than I did at my job. And so when it came back to going back to work, I was like, I don't have time. I got to work on my business. And then 2022, there were just some things that I didn't agree with her on, and like red flags were coming up. And so I told her, oh, let's finish out our client contract. Next year, I do want to, for next year, I do want to try to go solo, right? My
Yeah.
next evolution. I didn't tell her all the things. And then
Hmm.
literally the next day, she's like, fuck off. She blocked me. She took the entire email list and it was like gone and she owes
Oh
me
my.
like a lot of money, and I was just like, what? It was crazy. So I made a good choice,
Right.
but this wasn't
Right.
just someone randomly I met. It was like I
Right.
knew her for over 10 years, and so I was like, okay.
Wow.
And then I was like, well, I need to make money because I don't have my job anymore, right? And so what
Right.
do you do you put out an offer. And so I had Money Magic Manifest. So I didn't teach money manifesting before. We were teaching business, which I was still teaching. And I was like, no, I want to do a money program. And so I put out MMM and it was a huge hit. Like everybody
Yeah.
loved it. Everybody was getting transformation. It was crazy. Like this one of our students, she was a single mom, couldn't land a job. I don't know why.
Wow.
Like she went to all the interviews. It wasn't like she just sat at home. She
Hmm.
was getting kicked out of her house. Through MMM and working with us for a year, she found the highest paying job she's ever held, and it was a at-home job so she could be with her daughter.
Wow.
She met and married her husband. They're still married now, thank goodness. And
Wow.
she was able to, the second year, she was able to buy a house, and her dream was to take them to Disneyland. And she was able to take everybody to Disneyland.
Wow.
Like it was just like stories like that. And there was some fun ones too where they got like free first class Europe vacation. Like,
Hmm.
and I was like, wow, like this really works. I knew it worked for me, and it's just
Hmm.
like a really eye-opening to see it work for other people. And so I think I was like trying to brainstorm my next book. I don't know, something was happening, and then I was like, why don't I like to write about things I know
Yeah.
and that I have experienced. That's why you probably don't see a lot of sightings here. I'm not a researcher. I never did all this stuff. I never wrote an essay,
Yeah.
and so And so I just like write the things that I know or that I
Hmm.
have been doing.
Yeah.
And so this book was like, hey, why not? Money magic is like my thing. And I'm really grateful that, Llewellyn took this because I don't
Yeah.
think there really is a money magic,
There's really
hardly,
not, there's
right?
like a
Because of that
handful.
block in the,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
in the
In the
community for sure. Like
industry.
I've looked, um, and there are a couple of things that kind of like prosperity magic or whatever, but they're not business focused, they're not entrepreneur focused. Um, I have my own idea for a witchy business book as well. That's kind of like
Ooh.
in the back of my mind. But everything I'm writing right now is all kitchen witchcraft. But it's there. It's going to happen one day. But yeah, it's so unique because people don't speak this way in in the witchcraft community. You
You know
know?
what's really funny though? So when they were editing my book though, they were
Yeah,
like, is this true? Like
yeah,
some of the stuff, like some of the, like some of the results that I shared that
yeah,
has happened or what could happen if you do it. And
yeah.
they're like, everyone's like, are you sure you can write this? I was like, no, it happened. Like
Right.
this
It
is a
like legit
manifestation.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Right.
a manifestation.
Literally. Okay. I've been working financially. I'm going to be like super honest with you. The type of business I do right now is very difficult
Mm,
because of tax and tariffs and
product based.
product based, right? So
Yeah.
my business, besides writing and podcasting and teaching classes, there's a product element to my business where I make
Mm,
gourmet foods that are magical gourmet foods, and they're distributed. I'm distributed in like 500 stores nationally. So like it's a good business. It's a specialty foods business that is witchy, and it's
love that.
very difficult right now. Like that side of my
Yeah.
business really, really, probably the last 14, 15 months financially, it's been very hard. And somehow I'm always able to make it work
Wow.
because I believe of the money magic that I'm doing. So I'm
Right.
not seeing the flow that I was seeing because there are things I cannot control, right?
Mm,
There are things I cannot control. I cannot control tariffs coming out of certain places. I cannot control consumers' fear based things, right? But there are things I can control. And what I can control is me, my mindset, my energy work. And here's the quick story. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Here's the quick story is that I've been working certain mantras and certain money magic for myself for months and months and months and months and months. And I'm away to go teach a class in New York. And my assistant calls me and she's like, I just want to let you know that we just got a check in the mail from the government. It's a IRS check from an old return that says that you paid too much money, and here's $10,000. Boom.
wow.
Like literally just there it is. Like out of nowhere. And I was like,
Wow, that's amazing.
that covered my payroll. I was like, how am I going to cover payroll? I'm just going to manifest it. I'm just going to manifest it's going to be there. And I did my work and it just showed up for me. So I'm
Wow.
not saying everything is sunshine and roses, but I am
Right.
saying it works.
Yeah,
Like it happens.
it does. And I do believe that we go through, I mean, depending on what cycles you're on energetically. And so it's for you, it's probably just this one little cycle that we're
Hmm.
learning more lessons.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
gonna pop. It's gonna pop, and then you're going to be like back again and even more. I believe
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
tell me, like, what are three misconceptions that you think people have about money magic?
So I think we kind of touched upon this. The first one is they think they could just do that one spell and suddenly it's like, wow, life is amazing and never have to do anything again,
Right.
which might be true. I've had people who've done a ritual or spell and like $30,000, but I believe it's because they probably were working on themselves. And that was the last step that their intuition guided them to so that they can get the breakthrough. Does that make
Mm,
sense? So if it
yes.
doesn't come all at once, that doesn't mean you did it wrong or you're not magical or it's not coming. It just
Right.
means that maybe there's a couple more steps to take before you
Yeah.
get there. And don't look at other people, what other people are doing.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Don't compare yourself.
Yeah. And I think the second misconception is, and this is one of the core things I talk about in the book, is just doing magic or just mindset. So, like you said, I do believe that mindset is very important. I think it can change a lot of things in your life, but only having mindset is not the full magic or manifestation. And so I've used mindset to manifest a lot of things. And
Hmm.
so that I call it the four realms of manifestation, and mental realm is the first one. And the second, like you said, money mantra, right? They really work. They do work.
Hmm.
But to sustain your growth and your ascension and your money, then you do need the other three. So the second is the emotional realm.
Hmm.
And so our thoughts do determine our emotions. So it's good that we get the mental realm in check first. So our thoughts get sent out into the quantum field where it's like infinite possibilities. Everything you desire is there, but it only connects. To pull it back in, we use the heart, right? Heart chakra. Open up,
Hmm.
magnetism,
Hmm.
radiance. And so how do you activate that? With high level positive emotions. That's why
Hmm.
so many people out there, your auntie, your grandma, the coaches are telling you to be high vibe,
Right.
right? But it
Right.
doesn't mean that we have to ignore, feeling sad or mad or frustrated. We actually, well, the work that I teach is we acknowledge them. We don't
Hmm.
ever shove them down, because if you shove them down, it's going to build up like a pressure cooker.
Yep.
And then you're just gonna, and
Yep.
so you don't shove it down. You acknowledge it and be like, okay, I am feeling this way right now, but you're not it. You're not mad or you're not sad, but you're feeling it because something happened. And then, for me, I take as long as you need to honor that, but then I shift out of it. I think of solutions, or I have the
Hmm.
tools or the magic, and I shift
Hmm.
out of that emotion so I can be back into where I desire to be so the thing I want can come into my life.
Hmm.
And then it's the energetic realm, the third realm, right? Whatever you are being and your energy is what you attract. And so if you want that thing, if you want that $10,000, it vibrates a lot faster than that $1. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And
Hmm.
so make sure that you are keeping your energy up with the emotions and mindset
Right.
so that your energy field can call that in. And also so you can hold it, right? We see, have you ever heard like the lotto curse?
Yes,
Right?
of course.
Yeah, so
Yes.
people win, they're able to attract it in,
Yeah.
right? They're really good manifestors. And then what
Yeah.
happens? They go bankrupt or something happens that they
Yeah.
lose all the lotto money. And that's because they didn't have a consistent practice to work on their
Hmm.
energy to hold that big energy. Because
Hmm.
whether it's anything that we want, a lover, right? More money, more clients, that's more,
Yep.
right?
Right.
So our
Right.
energy has to be able to hold it. And so that's why we also clear. We clear, right? 21-day manifestation, we clear first so that you have space, kind of like your iPhone, right? When too much,
It
you
says
need to
data
buy more
full. Yes.
memory. Yeah. So we need to clear our energetic system,
Yes.
right? And the fourth is the physical realm. So I actually didn't really understand embodiment until 5 years ago.
Mm.
I know it's something that we have to do. I know that we have to ground, and I just didn't understand why. So, probably for most of you too, a lot of us like to live outside of our body because it's more fun in the magical.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I did when I was little, when I was bad, I was locked in the bathroom for a long time and I would just escape out of my body, right? Because I was in there, I couldn't go anywhere. And so I just escape a lot, even as an adult.
Yeah.
And so I was working with this sound coach and she was saying you're not in your body, and I didn't understand what that meant. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to practice coming in to be present, to hold. I mean, I was manifesting things, but she's like, if you want to manifest to the next level, you got to be in your body, and you got to take everything that you have done in the magic, in the akashic records, in the quantum, in your spells and rituals, and you got to bring it back to you. And so I started doing that, right? Showing
Yeah.
up as the person who already has the thing and taking actions and making decisions from that energy. And that changed my entire manifestation game. Like things became really, really fast. I mean, I have 12 publishing contracts since 2018. That's a lot. Like,
Wow,
I don't
that's
even
a
know how I did
lot.
that. Yeah,
That's a
I don't even
lot.
know. And it started coming when I figured it out, when it was like the four realms of manifestation.
I am listening to you talk about this, and I am obviously going to be thinking about this for a really long time. Um, but you know, it's interesting because and I do this work. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
do this work. It's really important to me, to my life, to my business, to who I am as an individual. And there are things that you're saying that are really resonating with me, that holding,
Yeah.
that creating space for being able to hold, which I think is something that is really worth exploring. And then I'm also hearing you say that you have trouble staying in your body. And, you know, I am definitely a person that has, you know, I suffer with anxiety and all stuff. And so like, I'm always,
Yes.
right? Like brain
Yes.
is going, and especially entrepreneurs, right? Where it's like this idea, that thing, shiny, like,
Yes.
right? Like we're always chasing whatever that is. And it come back into your body and go, no, here, now. Okay, let's see. What are we doing? Who do we want to be and act that way? And that
Mhm.
goes for how we act around money. That goes for how we act around other people, how we want to run our businesses, the type of clients we want to get. Who do I want to buy my products? That all goes to that holding and being here and being present. So I appreciate you sharing that. Those four realms, I think, are incredibly important. And I'm going to go back and read that chapter again because
Yeah.
it is really important. So for people that are, you know, listening to this and they're going, oh God, I really need help, right? I think there's a lot of folks right now that are dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety around money. People are losing jobs. People are
Hmm.
potentially losing health care. People are losing their homes. There's a lot of strife, that again, no matter how good your mindset is, no matter how good your
Right.
magic is, these things are hard in our human world right now.
Right.
Could you suggest for people listening three things, top three things that people could do, implement right now that would help them along the path of money magic?
Yes. So I think luckily for me, I experienced all this when I was a lot younger. So it wasn't, I think when we get to a certain age, it's like, oh, we don't have enough time and all this. But then I experienced this when I was younger. So it was like, whatever. I felt like it was more carefree, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think the first thing that they need to do is stop lying to themselves or yourself, right? Stop lying and don't make it like a super huge dramatic thing, but also don't sugarcoat it. So I used to ignore a lot of things because I didn't want to face it, right? But I do think you need to know what's happening in your life, right? And so that's the first thing. Like be honest with yourself. This is what's happening. I like this part. I need to change this part, right? It's not bad. It's probably just lessons that we are going through right now to make us a better person if we
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge that. And then the second part is to know what you want now.
Mm.
What do you want? Because I think a lot of us are just like, oh, I want abundance. Or, okay, I just want that extra $10,000. But it's not the $10,000 in the bank or the cash that's going to bring the desire or that's going to make you go after your goals. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
what you do with the money. So, what is that 10K going to do for you? And I want you to think beyond just surviving. I know we are surviving, but maybe you can think, I'm learning to. I'm learning to thrive. I'm learning money magic, and my life is getting better and better each day. It doesn't have to be better yet. You don't have to be a millionaire yet. That's a big jump. That's a big ask. But maybe you can start looking at the things that are helping you already and know what you want. And so, what is like the first goal that you want to hit? Right? And then make sure that the third thing, I think, while you're doing your mindset and your magic, the third thing is not just to sit back and just like pray and hope that ritual works, but is to go out and get a job or to do this or, go out and search because you're asking the universe, you're asking your magic, it's going to be brought to you. But I don't think it's going to knock on the door for you, right? We might have to go out and do something about it. So whenever I didn't like a job, I would go and search for a new one. Whenever, and like I said, maybe I was luckier because I was younger, right? And so whenever I didn't like something, I went and looked out for a new one. If I didn't like the pay, I went out to look for a job that paid better. If I didn't like the company or the bosses, I would go get a better boss, right? And I'll stay if it's really good. Like I was a dealer at Las Vegas Strip for
Hmm.
in the casinos for over 15 years.
Wow.
So, so yeah, that was the easiest job. I had over 20 jobs, and that was the easiest job that I ever had. I don't have to clean. And I mean, yes, there were, a lot of drunk people and people were wild, but, overall, I think it was like the easiest, most money-making job that I had. And so go find something that you are satisfied with for now while you're doing your magic. And so,
Right.
because if you keep hating your life or where you're at, again, that's the energy we're attracting. And
Yeah.
we want to try and shift out of that as fast as possible.
Right. Right. I love that you said that number three is basically do the work, right?
Yeah.
So number one, you know, I'm sorry, number one was get your head on right, right? Number
Yeah.
two, figure out what you want, right? So stop lying to yourself. Are you, a destitute? No, you're having a bad moment, right? And maybe you are destitute. Let's be realistic. What does that look like?
Yeah.
Can you not buy toilet paper and pay your rent? That's legit, right?
Yeah.
Be realistic about where you're at, get your head on straight, right? And do the work.
Hmm.
Know what you want and do the work. You can't just sit there and go, "Oh, I use these crystals and I lit this incense and I'm just going to wait for money to show up for me." You have
Yeah.
to get out there and do the work.
And there's one thing that I kind of have a pet peeve about, and it's watch what you're saying on social media. Because
Mm,
even if you're not an entrepreneur and you have like your own page or whatever, your personal page, but you're ranting about how horrible society is, how horrible your life, and it's true, I mean, it's happening, but if that's like your vision board, that's what you're being put out there and the energy that's coming in and you're reading it and it's being reflected back into your reality. So now we're always living in the past of what is happening, and that's very hard to create a new future. And so you have to be in the present. Remember, we said be in your body, be in the present and make the decisions from your future self. Because if you were a millionaire, you would not be making the decisions that you make as someone who, is struggling, right? And so
right.
you would make different decisions because you have a different mindset and energy, and it would be easier. And so we have to train ourselves to be that person. I think I think I had to train myself to be a writer because even after 4 contracts, I was like, oh, I don't know how to write. I was like, I'm not a good writer, but I was like, no, 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 I'm an amazing writer. Or no, I love editing. Editing is so amazing.
Right. Right. And how we talk to ourselves is so
Yeah.
important. And again, I don't think people discuss that in witchcraft. We hear that a lot in like the coaching world and the self-help world, but we don't talk about it in witchcraft. And it's the same. Like it's
It's
the same.
same.
How we talk to ourselves, the way like you just said, like you're putting this out on social media and then that's getting reflected back to you and back and da, 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 da. We become what we think about most of the time. We become our words. Our words are our simplest magic,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm over here, which is why I was very specific before when I said I think I'm just in a moment in time. Financially, there's a struggle time at the moment.
Moment.
It is not who I am. It is not the fabric of my world. It is this moment is difficult and I know I'm going to work through it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what that work looks like, but I'm going to keep doing what I do with a good mindset and the magical working and the manifestations and the mantras, and I'm going to work through it.
Yes.
How we speak to ourselves and others about our experience is the fabric of our magic.
Yeah. But I think, and with the witchcraft or magic, I think that's why it's so much easier for us to create things because, I know you said you're not an astrologer. I'm not an astrologer either, but my business partner does Vedic astrology.
Hmm.
And so we can see, like, I bet you, if we look at your planets right now, we would know why and how long it's going to be and when it started and when you had the similar, and so all of these, and then we could use tarot cards or we
Hmm.
can use our spells to get us
Yes.
moving or figure
Yes.
out the solution. And so I think we have an advantage over just, the coaches, the mindset people, because all they have is mindset.
Yes.
I was in this program and I wasn't making any money at that time, but everybody was like, $30,000, $50,000 months, and I was getting inspired, and I was like, wow! But I found out that it didn't sustain because they
Right.
had the mindset again, like the lotto people. They had the mindset, and then what
Right.
happened? They didn't have the energy or magic to continue, and they just like went back down like the next couple of months. Yeah,
Amazing. No, and agree with you. And again, that piece of holding, that creating the container of holding of the prosperity and the wealth management, again, I don't think is something that really gets discussed. We're all like, bring
Mm-mm.
it to me, bring it to me, bring it to me, but then it's just going right back out, you
Yeah.
know? I so brilliant that you've built that into this book and these lessons. And really you've done amazing, amazing
Oh,
work with
thank you.
this. Oh, I just had something I wanted to say and it left me. It was really good, Pam. It was something really good, and I just
Well, I was actually really nervous to release this book because I didn't know how the community would receive. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, because a lot of people were like, oh, they might not love money. And then I was like, no, I think everybody's ready. I was like, this is the time and everything's shifting. And I was like, no, everyone is, maybe I was my mantra, my affirmations to myself. I was like, no, they're ready for this.
yeah.
And I've had a lot of practitioners like yourself, very experienced, advanced, reach out to me and say that they love this book and or they use it or they agree with me, and it's really cool to get that
Yeah.
confirmation.
I will tell you right now, as I said, we're in kind of a transformational period at my business.
Yeah.
And yes, I did have my chart done by a good friend of mine. And he did swear to God. And he looked at it and he's like, oh, and I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. And he's like,
Yeah.
well, I will tell you that every single planet is everything you have is in Saturn. It's all upside down. You're in a shit storm. Don't worry, by the spring, you'll get through it. And I'm like, okay, it's spring. Hello. And I tell you what, that $10,000 check, he told me in April, things are going to start to turn around.
Oh,
And I
that's
will tell you that
amazing.
check came April 14th.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Right. So, like, it's turning, it's shifting. I'm getting there and I'm making adjustments and
Yeah.
I'm doing different work. As we said before, like, I'm shifting with the changing world and trying to also
Right.
tap into the energy of my business itself because she has an energy all of her own. She has a vibration all of her own. Where does she want to go? Right.
Right.
So we work together with that. So I wanted to say that. But yes, so I will tell you, because we're in a transformative period right now at my business, one of the things that we do, a little insight into Cucina Aurora. One of the things that we do is we have a meditation space in our office slash warehouse where we make all of our gourmet food.
Wow, I love that.
It's really, really cool. And that space has been used for storage for a while. During the pandemic, things got a little crazy. We just went in and we cleaned the whole thing out and we're
Oof.
getting back to that. And we've created an abundance altar with a statue of an abundance rabbit, which I love. And one of the things that we do is we choose a book and we all read it and we all come together and talk about that book and we implement the lessons of that book in our everyday personal lives and as well as like through our jobs. And
Wow.
this book, your book, Wealth Witchery, is going to be the next one that we work with as a
Wow.
team in our business. So I'm going to implement a lot of your shit and
That's
you have a
amazing.
21-day manifestation in here, right?
Yes,
Right?
I have the layout framework for that, but I
Yep.
do teach it inside of the Money Magic Manifest
Yep.
program.
We
Yeah,
are going to use this book in our business and
that's
I will bet
amazing.
you anything that in 30 days, 90 days time, we're going to notice super, super differences in where we're at, regardless of what's going on in the world. So I need to
Right.
personally thank you ahead of time because
Ooh,
this is so exciting. And I'll definitely like check back with you and be like, oh my God, Pam, we did this thing.
yes, yes. And if you want me to like come in and share something for your team, do
Oh, that's
something,
sweet.
I'm open
Thank
to that. That
you.
would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Where in the world are you?
I'm in Vegas, but I can also do Zoom.
Oh, you're still in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm in Las Vegas. Yeah. It's just really easy living here. Everything's open. I don't know, everything's close.
Yeah,
I can't
it's
get
warm.
lost.
There's no snow.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know.
I'm here up in New England. I'm in New Hampshire. So
Oh,
it's really it's beautiful and green and
you know what's really magical there? Alex and I held a retreat there.
did you
And we
whereabouts?
actually, yeah, so I guess I have my foot in a lot of things, but
Yeah.
we have our Galactic Star Tarot. So our branch or our industry with Hay House is around like the galactic energy, star beings, star seeds. And so we actually did a retreat there in New England, you know, in the forest,
Yeah.
and we made contact. Something, yeah, it was so crazy, but we, you know, we just like chant. Retreat's crazy. That was
Whereabouts in
really
New England were you?
it was like the Nine Mountain, Seven Mountain, Nine Mountain. Do you know that? It was like a retreat space and we just rented it out and then we had our
Amazing.
clients come and
I
you
feel like
know,
you were
we just
way up north.
I think it was,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, but it
Uh,
was really, really pretty and
amazing.
I think and they were like, "No, we are like this space have made contact before and it's really spiritual."
So
Yeah.
cool. Oh my God. I feel like I could talk to you forever, but I won't because we're
Oh,
both
yeah.
very busy entrepreneurs and we got shit to do. Um, Pam, tell everybody where we can find you online, where we can buy your book, where we can sign up for your classes and your online courses and all of that jazz.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram would be the easiest, Pamela Unicorn. And in my bio, I always have the link. I mean, I promote all the time. But in my bio, you can find the link to everything that we are doing. Alex and I host free master classes every single month to give back to the community. And to see if you're interested in our next program. And if you actually go to that link, there's a link for my book. You can buy it on Amazon or, you know, Llewellyn. But if you put in the receipt number, then you get a free gift. It's Abundance Alchemy. And so there's activations in there. There's a money journey that goes with the wealth scripting inside of the book that could just like amplify your experience in wealth witchery. You don't
Wow.
need it, but I promise you, if you do it, it's going to be even more. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. And we'll put all of your information in the show notes so
Thank
people will be
you.
able to click and find you. And I already went on and like started following you on all social. So
Oh, yeah.
it's all Cucina Aurora. So that's me. It's a little kitchen witch riding a fork. So you'll know it's me. Wealth Witchery, such an amazing book. Everyone should go buy it. Support your local bookstores. Go find Pam online. Okay, Pam, last question has nothing to do with anything we've talked about today.
Okay.
I ask this to everybody that comes on the show. I'm a kitchen witch.
Yes.
If you could have me make you one magical meal, what would it be and why?
Oh, like a full meal or just like
Mhm.
one dish?
Whatever, whatever. It's your world.
Oh, so I don't even know. I so so I think for dessert, I'm gonna start with dessert.
Dessert.
Dessert, I would like, you know, one of those like pear, it's like a pear dessert, but
Yeah.
it's like baked or something.
A
Like
poached pear.
yes,
Yes.
that was really good.
Yes.
And okay, so that was what I want for dessert. And for my meal, I do like Asian food.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I would like some kind of like a a crab three-way. So I don't get it. Like a
That's not
crab.
what she doesn't mean a three way. That's not what she
Oh
means.
no,
She's
like crab soup.
three ways.
Three ways crab, yes. So a crab soup, and then
Mm.
like a like stir fried crab of some kind, you know, with the five
Hmm.
spice, and then
Hmm.
like a crab fried rice.
Oh,
So
that sounds delicious. So Asian food is not my specialty. I am an Italian meatball. Okay. Like that's
I
I
figure New
obviously,
York.
obviously, but I'm trying really hard to get in to because I love Asian food and I'm trying really hard to get my balance of Asian flavors. So
Yeah.
like I feel like that would be a great experiment for me. I because you say crab soup and I'm in New England, so I immediately think like, oh, I would make a bisque, but that's not what you're asking for. You'd be asking for like a like an Asian-y, maybe like a peanut
Like a clear soup.
like a clear soup.
A
So
clear,
like a
yeah, they
broth with chunks of crab in it. I love
yeah.
that so much. And
Maybe
then
like
the
winter melon. Have you ever
ooh,
worked with that? That's really Asian.
no.
Winter melon soup is so good. Yeah, that's what I want.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to so okay, so the challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. I'm gonna have to find out what's winter melon and figure out where to buy it in New England and
Chinatown, I think.
right and try to find it. I that's amazing. I love it. And the pears are easy because you poach them in wine and then you serve them with
Ooh, so
honey
good.
and that's very
Yeah.
French. So that's interesting.
Oh, it's weird. Well, so one time Alex and I went to Joshua Tree, like just
Yeah.
by ourselves for a day, and then we had a chef come to, she actually taught us how to make like raviolis,
Oh yeah.
and she made us the food, but she gave us so little, and we were so hungry. Like while we're
What?
eating, we were thinking of like, do we order Uber Eats or something? But she gave us like one little pear, and I that's been like it's not obviously something I can make, or I don't know where to find it. So that's been on my mind.
You're like, I'm gonna need to have a braised pear. It's just probably
She gave us
braised in like
three raviolis each.
who can eat three raviolis?
And I was like,
You need a pound. You need a pound of ravioli. Come
we were like,
on.
what do we do? We're so hungry.
And you don't want to insult her, right? So
It
you're
was
like,
good.
okay,
It was
thank you.
great.
And then you leave and you go get tacos. Like
Yeah.
that's what you do. You
Yeah.
leave and you go get tacos. Pam Chen, you're amazing.
Thank you.
Um,
I had so much
I'm
fun.
I'm so excited to like just know you and uh fair warning, I'm gonna adopt you and you're gonna be in my life forever. So just be aware of that.
Yay.
Go buy this book, Wealth Witchery. Find Pam online. We'll put all of her links in the show notes. I cannot thank you enough, Pam. This was so great. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And until next time, everyone, I wish you so many blessings and so much gratitude.